Okay. So for those of you who are needing this, I'm on the second slide and oh, it's backwards. That's not helpful. Let's see if I can switch this. Oh, I don't think I can. Anyway, you have the slides. Um, we are completing this task right now, this midterm sort of check for understanding assessment. What we're doing is taking all of the concepts that we've learned so far and we are connecting them. We are looking at commonalities. We're looking at things, these concepts and how they're connected. So put them in any order you want, in any way you want, and draw a line between concepts and multiple lines, and then write either above the line or below the line how they're connected, what they have in common. Feel free, because there's limited space, to use abbreviations and things like that. Okay.
Classroom
Engage their students in what kind of material?
like group projects or like social emotional learning activities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if we work together, then they want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so good, effective, cooperative
Yes.
learning. Okay, good. Teachers who do what? Have fewer classroom management.
Teachers who teachers who create positive classroom.
Okay. Create a positive learning classroom environment. Okay, good. What is one example of positive classroom?
Like teaching students how to positively disagree with one another.
Ooh, I like that.
With one another, so that they aren't like taking care of their
Okay. Okay. Do you do this? Do you have that master?
I've been teaching for 4 years, and sometimes it was my first couple years, it was hard. Classroom management for me was hard because I was just kind of thrown into this classroom with 31 kids, and a lot of them were like,
Yeah.
So my first year was hard for me, classroom management. And every year is different because every kid's different.
Yeah.
But I tried to do that, respecting each other.
Well, and every classroom has its own personality too, right? Every year they have a different personality, a different vibe, possibly in one say. Okay, teachers who
have positive and personal connections with their students.
Yeah, personal connections, good. Glad you brought that up. I don't think I'm leaning in enough tonight into personal connection. So I'm focusing more tonight on the connection between student to student, but I want that to sort of be at the top, actually, because that I think is sort of at the center of it, that personal connection with students. Yes. What else? Teachers who
Focus on social skills.
Okay.
Learning.
Social interaction skills.
Yeah, because I think I'm going through it actually right now.
Okay.
I feel like I failed on management.
Okay.
I just got a new student on Tuesday. Came from Vegas. Has EDU. And I know he's new and I'm trying to teach him those classroom management, but he is very declining. And it's like it's his way or I think the thing that shocked me was like he just put the chair up in the air, started to do his backpack, told the kid a very foul language word, and like all this stuff. And I was like, oh my god. And then I see my kids seeing that they see that and they start mimicking, or they start seeing that it's okay to do. But it's like, what do I do? So I think that my classroom management at that moment when I said, what can I do to like get them, was I had that student get like just pulled out for a walk kind of like the TA would talk to him, try to get to know him more. And then I was like, now all of you are gonna listen to me and know that that is not okay for you to just forget the 8 months that Miss Jimenez taught you
Yeah.
all of these rules and you just leave them in 2 days because of a new student.
Yeah.
So that one has really been,
It's testing you.
yes. And a fourth of my class already is under the spectrum. So it's like one more and I'm by myself. I don't have TAs. I don't have additional help.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why I was like, oh, when you put this line, I was like, please, like, whatever strategy that you have, I was like, I'm gonna write every single one down.
I think going back to the student teacher relationship, like my first instinct is to go, oh my God, this transition's probably been horrible for him.
It has.
My first instinct is, I bet he was yanked from one parent to another.
It's worse than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taken away from a parent. So he's acting out. You know.
It was in a Johnson situation.
Yes.
The situation happened. So he hasn't really expressed it.
But he's probably not going to.
He's probably not going to. I mean, he gets along with his peers, right? Like, he's very kind from what the kids tell me because I asked him randomly. But it's more of like I think he's acting out because of what he saw as his parents.
Yeah.
And he sees that it's okay because he has no respect towards adults at all. Like, not even the vice principal. We talked back to the vice principal like in front of me and I was like, oh my goodness.
And he probably hasn't been given a lot of respect.
Yeah.
It sounds like. Lupe makes a really good point too, that it's about control, right?
Yes. So I
where
also think
he's finding this as fear of control.
I
He's
want
out
to
of control.
see like how much I can. Like, I think it's like I'm testing him, but he's also testing me of like how much can I get away with her, or like how, can I control her? Like, can I be the one that gets away with her? Huh?
I was saying, like, how can he's probably thinking also, adding on to what she said, how can he manipulate her into thinking like, oh, I can, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the bottom of it, like he's a good kid.
Yeah, the bottom
And
of it,
he's
turn away
yeah.
from him because of
and he
this.
wants to learn.
Like, I just think genuinely, I think I'm like, okay, he was put into my class for a reason. Like, he came from
a great way to think about it.
school for a reason. I was like, if I can manage a fourth of the class already on the spectrum, and I was able to like manage each one and find a rhythm, I'm like, one more I can do it. But I just keep like thinking,
What a good way to think about it, though, that he was put in your class for a reason. Yeah, we will continue to come up with strategies throughout the night as we talk about management, which is this word I struggle with. Calling it classroom management. I know that's the universal term for, classroom order and procedures and protocols. But management sort of suggests that you are on the top and you are, you are the boss and authoritative, and that you are managing issues rather than facilitating a symphony of learning. I like to think of it more like that rather than, and you will get there, Valerie, you will get there with him and the whole class. It will click and you're going to come back and you're going to go, it happened, So, what else? What teachers what else?
I think for me, it's also like teachers who spend time teaching and modeling the routines and the procedures from the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Will have bigger classroom management issues throughout the year.
Yeah.
But there has to be like very like detailed, like even lining up, even like just practicing. I know the beginning of the year, like we spent
30 days.
Weeks just practicing.
30 days.
And if they don't do it right, sit back down and we're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
You're gonna get tired of it, but you're not gonna stop until you know how to line up.
Yeah.
Quietly.
It takes 30 days to teach. In fact, if you don't do instruction for that amount of time, just to teach, how we communicate with each other, how we talk to each other, all those things, how we move from one space to the next. it pays off, right? It totally pays off in the end. Anything else? Teachers who-
And also being consistent with it, because
Mhm.
as the year goes on, and I'm noticing now that like these kids they just need a break, and spring break is coming up, so they're so
Yeah.
antsy, so pushy, so like ready to go. And there's days where I just, okay, let's put it in, because I can't, like, my head is just everywhere that I just.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
I
you
don't even have
too.
energy to
Yes.
like deal with you know? I still have to go home and deal with my home stuff, so
Yeah.
I'd rather save my energy for not just for the lack of better words, like for things that matter, like me at home.
Mhm.
Not that they don't matter because they do, but
Mhm.
yeah. I think I can stay consistent with the
If I can
routine.
add on the reading that you had us do, the social contract one.
Yeah.
Having the check-in,
Mhm.
like go back and check in, okay, have we been following it? Let's
Yeah.
make sure we're doing it. Do we need to update it? Do we need
Yeah.
to, maybe add another one or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
I think that, like right now, after reading that, like that made me think, I'm like, have I been doing that?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I haven't. And we actually have one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm like, I haven't done it. And that's probably why the kids also too have just been slacking too, because I've been slacking. So it kind of leads in on that too.
Yeah, and it's not you slacking. It's that you're on to other things,
So-
you know? And maybe the strategy is to reset
Yeah.
and bring him in on that
Mhm.
and have him be part of the conversation. Because I'm going to talk a little bit more about the social contract tonight, and maybe it's a reset where you go back to it, do a pre-spring break review or reset or recharge or something like that. Call it something fun, and then it can, and bring
after
him in on
spring
it.
break also come in and say, okay, what do we remember?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, spring break.
We're
starting.
No,
Yeah, for
But
the
this-
little ones for sure.
This is the longest stretch, guys. From winter break to spring break is the longest
There's no
stretch.
break in May, right?
It feels like it's the longest, like after
Yeah.
Christmas. I want to.
It is.
I mean, in May, because when we come back from spring break, it's like there's no break in May.
No,
It's like a-
No, you've got Labor Day. I mean,
I think it's just.
Oh, Memorial Day.
you've got Memorial Day.
3-day weekend. But March, we don't have a 3-day.
March is 100 days long.
Yeah.
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 Good. Anything else? These are all great. So we're going to kind of talk about what this looks like in practice. So these things, positively functioning classrooms rather than managed classrooms have these things in common. So appropriate breaks, that's up there. The teacher is prepared. Teacher is aware and tuned in. Teacher creates content that's relevant to the students, their lives, their interests, their experiences, their community, their culture. Teacher reads the room at every moment. Maybe it's about anticipating him.
I did. So today,
Right?
it was like a lot better than yesterday. And it was more of like, I started figuring out what some of his needs were, which was he
Yeah.
needs someone there at all times.
Mm.
So luckily, I mean, just for today, there was someone available or like a volunteer, someone else. It would be his buddy. And
Yeah.
then I assigned him a class buddy
Great.
to like help him and like remind him of like, that's not what we do. Then
Yeah.
I had another buddy tell me like, if he's doing something he's not supposed to, quietly come tell me so that I can also start writing down like notes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I guess you could say this file.
Yeah. Building data.
But it started slowly working because I know what his interests are now. So I'm using that as like incentives or
Right.
as a reward because I'm like, okay, you will get to it. I need you to at least try to finish this assignment.
And then you can
Putting
get,
a visual timer for him too, because I'm like, you only get 5 minutes of this. Once this is off, what do you have to do? And it's like, I gotta put it up.
Yeah. Remind me to tell you about the odd timing strategy
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
Reading the crowd. If you are noticing that your kiddos are fading,
Brain break.
take a brain break.
Or talk to partners, what I like.
Yes.
Map, and I'm like, raise your hand if you know this.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any hands. I'm like, okay, talk to a partner. for
Yes.
2 minutes about
Yes. It's
Well,
about
reading
reading the
the
room.
answers. That's
Right.
Yeah, because I don't like getting the same volunteers and it's just like, are
Yeah.
you either getting this or we're
Yeah.
just tuned out?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's my key.
I do it, I do it in this space as well with my graduate students like yourself. Um, and yeah, I will shift if I read the room. Like last week or last time I was with you all, like 8:15, everyone was like cross-eyed, right? And I was like, I got 3 more slides. Okay, I'm gonna try to make this as entertaining as possible, but I gotta get through it. I could take a brain break. I could, but I only have 3 more slides and I don't, So it's just, reading the room and then being prepared. And this is a tough one. Sometimes we don't have the time to be as prepared as we want to. But those of you that are going into the profession for the first time, it's super critical that you are as prepared as possible. And once you create it, it's a lot of work, but then you can recycle it. All right, good. So tonight we're going to talk about a theory or a practice called responsive classroom. Has anybody heard about responsive classroom? Okay, so it's nothing necessarily new or groundbreaking, except that it does give us some really specific practices and strategies. So it's a method that is all about the social skills that foster the academic skills. So when we have the social skills in place, the academic skills, the students can access the academic skills. And that it's about fostering, number one, a safe classroom, but also a joyful classroom. It's just all about like having really positive class dynamic where students feel safe to share no matter how they walk in the door, whether they walk in the door as an introvert, an extrovert, a student with a disability, a student who has anxiety, however they come in the room. This method is about them feeling safe in your space based on some specific things that you do. So the guiding principles are that the social skills and the emotional skills are paramount to the academic content. So let that one sit, see how you feel about that idea. So that the SEL comes before academic content. You can't have one without the other. How we teach is important as what we teach. And I think I said that like week 2, that your pedagogy and your strategies and how you approach the content is just as important as the content itself. Cognitive growth happens with social interaction. So tying back to that cooperative learning. So students being able to talk to each other, that turn and talk is almost more valuable than the raised hand. We know that kids learn if they can teach it. So if they can talk about it, they are learning it. How we work together as adults to create that safe and joyful learning environment is important. So how we model it as adults is just as important. How we work with our fellow adults is just important as our individual contribution in the classroom. And then what we believe about our students helps inform our expectations. So kind of going back to that idea of bias, what we believe our students can do is how we're going to set up the expectations. So if we have a low opinion of a student's skill, we are going to lower our expectations. And if we don't have a positive attitude about a student, then we are going to have a different kind of reaction towards that student. And then the last principle is that partnering with families and knowing their value is really as important as the children themselves. So the families are equal, the caregivers are as equal as the children, or as important, play as important role as the children do. Is there any, sorry for the typos, this was really small on my computer screen. Is there anything anybody wants to push back on in here in terms of these principles? Sorry, anyway.
What if the families don't contribute?
Great question. What if they're in foster care?
Yeah, like there's a lot of reasons for it, but
Yeah.
like what if they just don't?
Yeah. Well, so the theory is that there are some valuable ways to bring families in that does not involve volunteering, or, what if you have families that work nonstop, what are the different ways that you can bring families into your classroom, not physically, but sort of, how can you bring them in, metaphorically, without outside of the traditional, what we think of as like being on PTSA or being on committees or volunteering. So we're going to think like outside that traditional box to maybe invite those parents who feel disenfranchised or don't know how to be involved. Because sometimes parent involvement is about, like, we have parents, just like we have the assumption that all students can learn, we have to also have the assumption that all parents care or all caregivers care. That there is somebody that cares about this kiddo. We have to figure out who it is and how can we bring them in and make them a part of the kiddo's life, or part of the kiddo's schooling. So if we think, and I'm not saying you think this, because that's not why you asked the question. But you are going to hear colleagues say this, like the parents don't care, or the parents, they've checked out. It's probably for other reasons that we don't know about. Right. All right.
But then if you like have a parent who's checked it out, like how do you involve that parent? Like that's
Yeah.
pretty difficult if they're like already kind of just not engaging.
Yeah. So just as you would lock in, or try to hook a kid who's disconnected for a variety of reasons. Maybe they've had trauma, maybe they're just have so much going on in their life that school is like low on their Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Mm-hmm. How can we hook the parent? It's maybe a little conversation. What does the parent do? Where do they live? Maybe it's about finding out what the parent is interested in and finding ways, small, tiny ways to let them know that it's important that they're part of the kiddo's life. Mm-hmm. By, even mini communications. Yeah.
I think the main concern is the adults. Like, for example, what if you seek, as teachers, we seek help from our admin when situations happen.
Okay.
Because there are higher ups and they're supposed to help us, whatever.
Right.
What if what the advice they're giving us is not the best advice? It's like, what if it's just something that maybe makes it worse, or it's not what I should be doing, or what I believe that I should be doing? Like, I disagree with it.
You don't have to do, unless you're being evaluated based on their advice. That's the question. My 2 cents in that situation is, and I think this really speaks more to like collaborating with colleagues.
Okay.
But go with your instinct with and unless you're being evaluated, if you are being evaluated on the bad advice, like, meaning like, when I come in your class, I want to see that, Miss Jimenez. Then it's an opportunity to ask questions. Well, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, how might it look if I did it this way instead? Would that look good to you? You can always ask questions about their suggestion. Yeah. What?
I'll say a question then. I'm trying to like think about my admin and how the two supportive admin are more what's the word? Like they're more responsive than the
principal is, and they're more helpful like
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah. Well, he's doing, think about your principals are doing, they're stuck in operations. They're like, like making sure that the electricity works and signing documents. And I think that they're less in touch with the needs of what's happening in the classroom, right? Than maybe some of those coaches or the APs or things like that,
I think that's why when some adult coworkers, I go to my coworkers and like the veteran teachers,
Yeah.
or even like the newer ones.
Yeah.
I'm like, what would you do?
Yeah.
Or what is something that would maybe you could recommend for me or something?
Yeah.
I think I don't really rely on admin anymore.
Yeah.
It's just more of like the case that's going on right now. It was like the advice she gave me. I was like,
Okay.
I was
Is
appalled.
it like have him sit in the corner and face the door or face the,
That literally word for word, fight fire with fire. And I was like,
good for you for having the instinct to.
that. I was like, I'm not like that. I wouldn't want my teacher to give me that
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I just pulled him to the side and said, hey, bud. I was like, I know it's just a certain day. I kind of just related it to it. And then I even like told him too, I was like, it was my first day of school for a new class yesterday. I said, I feel the same way as you. So try to build that connection.
That's what it's about.
Kind of. No, but it was
He'll
like
be-
the last 10 minutes of the day.
He'll be putty in your hands. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So again, just sort of to reiterate, it's really about that supportive environment, getting to know the kids, promoting positive interactions, boosting that motivation, showing excitement for what the students do and say, and that safe space to feel valued and connected. What is one way that we can help students feel valued and connected? Starts with a C. Oh, yeah, that's another C. We can help students feel valued and connected by being culturally responsive to how they talk, how they communicate, their experiences, their assets. Culturally responsive teaching, at the center of it is, the purpose of it is for students to feel valued and connected. Okay, so the 4 domains, having engaging academics. So of course, having quality instruction, that's a whole thing. Like, what is quality instruction? But rigorous instruction, meaning engaging students in higher order thinking, in critical thinking. So moving beyond the worksheets, moving beyond the who, what, when, and moving up the taxonomy to the higher cognitive demands. Again, that positive community where all students have some significance, have a role, have a purpose. They are needed, right? If they are absent and they come back the next day, reminding them, gosh, we really missed you yesterday. We did this. You're so good with punctuation, and we did a punctuation exercise. And boy, we really could have used you. We really missed you. We're glad you're back today. So really making sure that students feel like they are a significant addition to that classroom. Having a calm, orderly environment that promotes autonomy, where students have choice, they have ownership. Maybe it's giving him a role in the classroom. Maybe since he lifted up that chair, he should be in charge of chairs. Oh, maybe
he's becoming my Velcro.
There you go.
He's so like I'm walking down barely out of the teacher's lounge, and he's already like looking for me and runs towards me. He's like, I'm gonna follow you now. Oh, yeah.
See, it's petty.
So I'm like, I think I'm gonna be my water kid. And be like, whenever I need water, like there's someone water. I'm like, can you go grab my phone? Yeah, the kids. I like take my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like it's because he looks for me in the class too. And sometimes when I sit at my desk, I never sit at my desk, but when I sit at my desk, it's because I need like a little space for myself. And so the kids know that that's my bubble. Do not come up near the desk just because that's my little time. Just like I won't come up to you to ask me, I'll check it. If he comes coming and the kids are just like, listen, that's her bubbles. She'll be back right now. She'll be back in like, a minute. Give her some time. And then it's just funny because then it's
That's
just
right.
like,
I need a
Yeah.
bubble. I love the
because I
bubble.
tell them that they also have a bubble because a lot of the kids be like in each other's face.
Yeah, no,
So I
that's
tell
good.
them, I'm like, when they get into your bubble, I'm like, they're essentially puppying. You don't want that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. I'm like, person's face.
What I love about like the kids feeling like they have a contribution and a significance is it taps into the intrinsic motivation rather the extrinsic, right? So I like putting him in charge of chairs. Like he messed with the chairs. Now you're in charge of the chairs and you're going to care about that chair because it's your job, you know? And so I need to take care of the chairs because, otherwise no one will have a place to sit. So it's less about the reward. I'm going to invite you to move away from the idea of reward and more about the reward being my contribution. Like I am important in this little community that we've created, this little town that we've created in this classroom. Good. And then, of course, lastly, like being responsive to not only the students' cultural needs, that taps into SEDI, like what are my students' language needs? What are my students' needs in learning needs? And then also the developmental needs. Where are they? Like we can't expect that all kids are at the same place developmentally, even though we have a range, right? Like Piaget gave it, or Vygotsky, sorry, gave us that range. We know that there is variance in there. We have mature students and we have more immature students. So meeting them where they're at, right? Especially when you get to a certain grade and the girls get tall. And then we have higher expectations of their behavior and maturity because they're taller. And we forget when they sprout that they are still that little girl, even if they sprout at like 6 years old, that they developmentally are still 6, but we sometimes see them as more mature when they get taller. Interesting little thing to be aware of. Okay, so comparison between traditional and responsive. So traditional, strict rules, students don't talk. There's not a ton of collaboration because remember, collaboration is noisy and it's messy sometimes. But students are, that results in passive learning. Students are sort of receiving it, kind of, sort of. And there is not as much peer interaction. And of course, if we don't have peer interaction, there's probably passive learning happening. Like right now. This is passive. You are passively taking in what I am giving you because I'm standing here talking at you. Whereas on the other side, so we want to move away from this idea tonight and think more about students, their student voice and choice. There's improved relationships. There's a beautiful supportive community, and that rule creation and protocol creation is student-led. And is involves student choice rather than you saying these are the rules. You drive objectives, you drive standards, you drive the activities, but there's choice in there when it comes to some of how we have the students do the activities. But you are in charge of objectives. That's non-negotiable. Okay. So the morning meeting is kind of the place. This method that I'm talking about is driven by this idea that the day is anchored in the morning meeting. So I know your teacher probably does a morning meeting, right? Yes. And everybody does a morning meeting. So I'm going to show you a specific way to do a morning meeting that is anchored in student communication and student interaction and social skills. So teaching students how to talk to each other. So it's less about like what, it's leaning away from things like calendar, but leaning more into social interactions between students. So it sets the tone of the day. It sets the tone of the learning climate. It allows students to feel a part of something the moment they walk in the door. It helps reset students who may be coming from a yucky morning. Maybe they got yelled at in the car. Maybe mom was yelling at everybody, right? Get up, hurry up. I'm always like, when I yell at my kids in the morning, I'm always like, I love you, I'm sorry, I don't have a dad. Like that last 30 seconds, I'm trying to erase all of the like, do it, right? By saying like, but so they don't like walk in their classroom saying, my mom was mean to me this morning, right? What? Yeah.
Sometimes with my daughter, I feel really bad because she doesn't wake up, and I'm like, I wake her up in the morning, and I'm like, I used to be like, we're late, like let's go, but then I'm like, I wake her up and I say, and then my husband's like, hurry up, let's go, and I'm like, don't be hurry like that,
Right.
I'm like, oh,
Because the teacher in you knows,
yes,
right? That you don't want them to walk into class that way. Yeah. LAUSD does breakfast in the classroom now.
yes,
And that was this was one of the goals of breakfast in the classroom, not only to feed that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to make sure that they come in fed, but also to sort of have that communal time for students to sort of eat together, bond, talk. So that's one of the things that breakfast in the classroom does, in addition to getting the kids fed. So morning meeting also, again, you're modeling social skills, they're practicing social skills. And there's also an academic angle to the morning meeting, but it merges the two. So here's the steps. So the rule or the procedures, not the rules, the procedures are posted. Students always sit in a circle. They come empty-handed, so they don't come with pencils, papers, stuffies, unless it's like part of their 504 to have a stuffy. No fidgets, nothing like that. They come empty-handed. It's about 20 to 30 minutes. That might seem like a lot, but we'll be open-minded. And then having some kind of management signal, like a chime for when you transition, because some of the activities in the morning meeting can be a little bit fun and active and physical. So having that redirection to get everybody back is also one of the important aspects of format. And then you start with a greeting. You have some kind of share. There's an activity, which is usually something fun, and then some kind of message. So the message is something written by the teacher. So we're gonna watch one.
I share, do you mean like you ideas?
The share is the students. So the greeting is where students greet each other, and it's in very specific way. And there's different ways that you have like a menu of ways, and I'm going to give all this to you. There's a menu of ways, strategies that you can have the students greet each other. And then like today we're going to do this way, tomorrow we're going to do that way. And then the share is students get a chance to talk. And then other students have to listen and ask questions. And then an activity is something physical and fun. And then the message is a message from teacher to students about sort of the agenda, like what's the day going to look like? Okay, and what you can expect. So let's do this. Let's come back at 7:20 and we'll watch a morning meeting. Does that work? Okay. And then there's a Easter egg hidden in morning meeting in this video. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna see if they're gonna catch it. It's something that I wouldn't like, that I'd be like, don't do that, lady. So but I won't, I'll surprise you. I mean, I'll see if you can identify what it is.
Teacher